What's up, Amazon sellers? Today, I'm super excited to be interviewing a man I'm interested to learn about everything that he's learned and what I can take away and share with you to help you build your business. If you don't know, his name is Nathan Hurst, and he is the founder of FreeUp, which he sold for multiple seven figures. And I'm interested to learn everything I can today in this interview. So stay tuned. Okay, so today I'm super excited to be able to interview Nathan Hurst in person, who I've actually met in person as well, should we say, last year. But the reason why I'm interested is because this guy has built and sold businesses, or his business, the last one, FreeUp, if you don't know. But interesting enough, what I'm really interested in learning is about what he's learned in that process around processes and managing teams, and then also what he's now learning in the e-com space as well around the accounting side with his new business, e-com balance. I don't want to give too much away, but he is here and I can let him explain all himself. Nathan, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out. If anyone doesn't know who you are, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and should we say your history so far?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. So, I was an Amazon seller. I started in college. I was a broke college kid looking for extra side money, and I got upset that my school was ripping me off when it came to textbooks. So I created my own little textbook business competing with the school bookstore, created a little referral program, had lines out the door of people wanting to sell me their textbooks, to the point where I got a cease and desist letter from my college telling me to knock it off. They were going to kick me out if I kept selling books. So that ended up being one of the best things that ever happened to me. I didn't want to get kicked out of school. My parents would have not been happy. But I had this Amazon account. This was 2008, 2009, and Amazon was just getting into more than just books. So I started experimenting what other things I could sell on Amazon. And I had this idea of drop shipping years before I even knew the word drop shipping. That didn't really exist. But I went to these deal websites and eventually built relationships with different US manufacturers, and they didn't really know e-commerce either. But my little pitch to them was, I'll get you sales, you keep my credit card on file, you charge me when you make something and ship it, and you ship it to the end consumer. And before I knew it, I was working with hundreds of manufacturers and selling hundreds of thousands, eventually millions of dollars out of my college dorm room with no inventory, no cash up front, just drop shipping all these products. And this was the wild, wild west of Amazon. Like, there were no courses, there were no gurus, there was no Amazon software. Everything was very manual. And I remember meeting with my accountant because my parents said I should probably pay taxes. And his first question to me was, when are you going to hire your first person? And I said, why would I do that? That's money out of my pocket. They're going to steal my ideas. They're not going to do as good of a job as me. I love working 7 days a week. I'll be able to do this forever. And he just laughed in my face and said, you're going to learn this lesson on your own. Well, sure enough, my first busy season comes around, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I just get destroyed. I'm not prepared. I'm doing everything myself. I'm working 60, 70 hours a week trying to keep my Amazon account alive and not get suspended for bad reviews and missing orders. And my social life plummets. My grades are going down. I'm stressed out all the time. And somehow I make it through to January. And I think to myself, man, I can never start doing this again. So I start hiring college kids. And the first hire I made was actually my longtime business partner, Connor Gillivan. And he eventually became my partner down the line, but he just messaged me. I posted a job on Facebook. He was in my business law class. He shot me a message, said, hey, I need a job. Didn't interview him, just hired him on the spot. And it ended up being one of my best hires. So there I am, a 21-year-old thinking, man, this hiring thing's easy. You post a job, someone shows up, they make your life better. And I just made bad hire after bad hire after bad hire, quickly learning that college kids were not the most reliable workers in the world. So I'm 20, hiring adults was very intimidating. I didn't think any adults would want to work for me, and college kids were not very reliable. So a buddy of mine introduced me to the virtual assistant space and hired people from the Philippines for the first time. And I went through a large learning curve there of figuring out how to communicate with them, how to give directions, how to set expectations, how to build a relationship with them. But when Connor and I finally figured this out, we had this great army of virtual assistants for our Amazon business that allowed us to scale and graduate and open up his office in Florida. And at that time, we're thinking, man, like, we're going to take down Amazon. Like, we're going to be the next e-commerce giant. That didn't happen. Amazon became harder. And all of a sudden, these courses and other people start selling. Competition becomes harder. And we kind of had the idea, what if we offered these great virtual assistants to other e-commerce sellers? But like, now there's a lot of Amazon agencies that didn't really exist back then. And Upwork and Fiverr wasn't e-commerce specific. So we came up with the idea of FreeUp, a marketplace that would pre-vet virtual assistants and freelancers for the e-commerce space, eventually branched out beyond that. And that quickly surpassed fast our Amazon business to the point where we phased the Amazon business out. FreeUp was a lot of fun. Instead of depending on Amazon, we had our own website. We learned SEO, we learned partnerships and podcasts and had our own brand. And it was just a lot of fun doing B2B for the first time instead of B2C. So we scaled this business for 4 years. We no office, no US employees. Our internal team was 30 virtual assistants in the Philippines doing everything from sales calls to customer service to bookkeeping to lead generation, you name it. And one of our clients acquired us at the end of 2019, which is a whole nother story we can kind of get into if you want. And little did we know that COVID was right around the corner. So we originally were going to take a year off and travel, and instead we were stuck at home with nothing to do. So we started brainstorming other business ideas. We came up with Outsource School, which is membership that teaches people our hiring process, and now our 2 bookkeeping brands, Ecom Balance and Accounts Balance, that we can talk more about. But that's the short, long version of how I went from a college kid to Amazon seller to FreeUp and beyond.
I love the journey. I love the fact that you got. I'm a UK seller. I started in the US, and obviously those cease and desist letters, they do scare you. You're like, oh my god!
Right.
Like, and obviously, from my perspective, the US is very litigious. So we're like, oh, like, be very, very careful here. Wow, honestly, I absolutely love it. And the underlying message I kind of understand through that is opportunity, but you want to have fun and you see the opportunity and you're going with what's enjoyed, but you appreciate it's hard work. And I think if anyone's kind of watching, like, this is like, you've got to hustle if you want to like get well or do a good job.
At least up front. I mean, now I think my hustling days are over. Like, I don't really travel for conferences anymore. Like, my work schedule is a lot more flexible. I really only do things if I want to do them. But with FreeUp for 4 years, we ate, slept, and breathed FreeUp 24/7. And I mean, it was worth it. Like, ended up working out well. But my take on being an entrepreneur is obviously it's hard, and like timing is everything. Like, we had great timing with the Amazon, we had great timing with FreeUp. We tend to avoid doing what everyone else is doing. Like, if everyone's doing chat or whatever, like, we're not doing that. We're doing something else and trying to get into an industry that people aren't doing. And I guess the other side of it is no one really like knows what you're doing. Like, you have educated guesses, like you can do research, you can do market research, which is important, but at the end of the day, you're throwing stuff against the wall. And in my mind, we try like low risk, high reward. Like, even the Amazon business, I even told my parents, like, if I drop ship 30 products and I got bad reviews and everyone hated it and I had to refund everyone, I would have moved on to someone else and lost a few $100. If FreeUp didn't work with our first few VAs, I would have shut it down, and we started that business with $5,000. So very, very low risk. And same thing with Outsource School. We launched it and we did a beta test and sold a bunch of courses at a discount. And if people hated it, we would have just refunded everyone and moved on to something else. So low risk, high reward is kind of what we focus on.
Yeah, I love it. And I think the interesting thing is you must hear a lot of people, because obviously you've sold a business, you must hear a lot of people where they say to you, I need to make money, I want to make money. And I think there's more opportunity now than there's ever been. And there's more nuances where you can do that high reward, low risk, should we say, and you can test the market, like you said, and than there has ever been. But you've just got to be able to keep an open mind to be looking for them and to see it, because there's so much opportunity now with the internet, and even more with Web3, for example. Do you see that in your space? And do you get a lot of people asking you like, hey man, how do I make money? It's making money from home. How do I do it?
I don't get a lot of people asking me how to make money from home, only because I don't do like coaching or consulting or anything like that. Usually people ask me about bookkeeping or hiring or obviously like going through a sales process for a company. But yeah, I mean, we've never lived at a better time. And I was doing remote before working remote was cool. Like with our Amazon business and FreeUp, like we were remote 100%. We had a small office for our Amazon business, which ended up being one of the worst business decisions we ever made. And we scrapped that and decided never again. So, I mean, you could start a business with a laptop. You can start a business with a few $1,000s. So the opportunities are endless. I just encourage people to find something different than what everyone else is doing. Don't go with the masses. Find your own niche and find some market. I think people get obsessed with trying to create the next Uber or creating the next market, where Connor and I kind of look for what's already there. Like for Amazon, people buy baby products. It's a huge market. For FreeUp, every company needs to hire. It applies to everyone. For bookkeeping, every business needs bookkeeping. So instead of trying to create our own market, we look for big markets and try to take our small piece of it.
Yeah, I love it. No, thank you. So question for you, I really want to understand, and I have a team of EAs. Obviously, you've built a business, you've sold them. One thing I'm really, really interested in is processes and like managing people, because what I see across the kind of people, or should we say teams, is that a lot of people can hire someone, which is absolutely fine. But when you start getting to the point whereby you have more people than you can directly manage, or like it becomes a full-time job, like how did you start stepping away from that? I'm guessing if like you would never be able to sell FreeUp if you didn't have good systems in place. Like, can you tell us a bit more about that? What does it look like? Maybe give some tips and tricks that if people are looking to, should they follow in the footsteps, maybe for another business, that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, it's a great point. So this was kind of what I heard for FreeUp, because I was kind of the face of FreeUp before we sold it. But the key was I was the face when it came to marketing. Like, I'd go to podcasts, I'd go to conferences, like my name would be on the blog articles, whatever. But the actual operations of the business ran without me. And anytime you sell a company to a bigger company, and we sold it to two awesome entrepreneurs that we have a great relationship with, it's very easy to change the marketing approach for any company. Like, you can easily get me out of marketing and do a whole different marketing strategy and try different things. And there's so many different marketing channels that there's no way that our business tried every little thing. So that's fairly easy, but replacing an owner that runs the operations is very difficult. So that's definitely a key. If you want to sell your company, you can't be an owner operator. You got to be really out of operations. That doesn't mean you don't have a finger of what's going on with operations, but you can't be the one running it. Like, one of the things that we've had success with is the first hires we make at any company are so key, because we want to promote from within. We want to put team leaders in place from those original people, and we want to get those original people to buy in. Our first 4 hires, Chicky Ann, who was from our Amazon business, and she's still with FreeUp. She's awesome. She headed recruitment for FreeUp, so she would find freelancers, find VAs, and vet them. We had 2 customer service people, Jane and Layden, who handled customer service, and our customer service was 24/7, so it required 2 team leaders, and they started off just monitoring my emails and eventually were promoted to team leaders. And then the best hire one of the best hires we ever made was Marius, who did our bookkeeping. From day one in all our companies, we hire a bookkeeper so that we get monthly reports on time. In the FreeUp situation, we need someone to pay freelancers and charge clients and make sure that we're on top of everything every single week. So he did a phenomenal job. And we tell them straight up, we're like, hey, if this company grows, you're the first people that we're going to reward, whether it's bonuses, raises. When we sold the company, we took $500,000 and gave it to our team and made sure their jobs were secure. So we want to really take care of those people, but we have very high expectations for our initial team members. And even with Econ Balance, those first bookkeepers were key. Anna and Joe Carr, who run the operations, are key, and we want to promote from within. And obviously processes are important. When we went through due diligence, we had to turn over all our SOPs, and all our SOPs, from customer service to sales to fulfilling tickets for FreeUp, were all structured the same way. What are the goals? What are we trying to do? What are the actual steps? A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3. And then what are the important reminders? What are the do not do's for any reason to make sure that we don't run into issues or problems that have already happened? So all of that's kind of a big factor when we start businesses, and doing it from day one and hiring those right people are important. You don't want to hire a C player from day one. You're just going to have to address a leadership position down the line.
Question, like, I love that, and thank you so much. I think question for you, if anyone is looking at this, those first 4 players, like the first core hires, should we say, what advice do you have for making sure they're the right people? Because hey, I'm an entrepreneur, and I remember my first hires, and by the way, my first business did awful, or like my first year in business did awful. We hire cheap, we don't really know what we're doing, we make all the mistakes. Like, what advice do you have for like those first few hires, and how do you make sure they're the right people, and what are some common mistakes that you see other people make?
Yeah, I mean, that's really why we created Outsource School, because we did the same thing. Like every entrepreneur, you don't know how to hire. They don't teach you how to hire in school. You make a lot of mistakes, and we wanted to give people our process. This is the interview questions you ask. This is how you onboard them. This is how you train them. This is how you manage them. And I mean, the biggest thing that we learned was you can't just hire for skill. You got to hire for attitude and communication as well. Communication, yeah, they need to speak English, but they need to be able to problem solve and have a meeting and get on the same page quickly and not just go in circles over and over and over. And attitude, you want someone who cares more about just money and stability. They got to care about the company. They got to care about growth and improvement. And they have to want to be a leader, because we'll ask people if they want to be a leader before pushing them into that role. Not everyone wants to be responsible for other people. It can be stressful. It's challenging. So we like to focus on the trifecta of skill, attitude, and communication. And then we want to see them knock it out of the park on very easy tasks. Like when we started FreeUp, there wasn't that much to do. We had lead generation going. we had someone monitoring my inbox for potential clients because all customer service was kind of through my inbox for the first 6 months. And we needed someone to find good VAs and freelancers because we ran out of the Amazon ones pretty quickly. So we assigned those tasks, and bookkeeping is bookkeeping. So we assigned those tasks to those 4 people and watched that to make sure they crushed it and went above and beyond and gave feedback and brought their own ideas to the table and didn't just go by my directions and nothing else, and actually care about the company and be thinking about the company when they're not working. So that's kind of what we look for. And once we saw it in those people, then we started to give them more and more responsibility and have them prove themselves before having a meeting with them. Like, hey, do you want to be a leader? Because we need someone to run customer service. We need someone to run recruitment and bookkeeping. And Connor and I can't be, if we want to grow this thing, Connor and I need to be focused on the sales and the marketing that we're good at and not pulled into operations every single day.
Any tips, tricks, or hacks to find those good leaders during interviewing, or perhaps maybe it's even you've got existing members of staff and transitioning them up, like the next level, should we say? Like, any advice for that side? How do you get over the yes sir, no sir? How have you overcome that? What tips can you advise? You've gone into Ecom Balance. Tell me about that. Like, what is that about? You must hear some real horror stories about not doing good bookkeeping. And obviously you must have seen it when people come in. When would someone be right for your business, and when would someone not be right for your business? I've just started my account yesterday. Should I sign up tomorrow? What would your advice be?